are watching The Human Condition, and I'm your host, Jeffrey Purse. Welcome back to my foam cubicle. Actually got these from Peach Boxes. I do that because I have hardwood floors, and I want it to sound extra good for you. And also, yes, I do these paintings right here. But that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to sell paintings. I'm here to continue laying the foundation down for you to understand natural law, objective morality. As a matter of fact, natural law is occult knowledge, and reason being is it's kept from us in order to keep a power differential. And so I'm laying a foundation down for you to understand natural law, and it's very long and tedious, but this is important information. And it is information that not only will set you free if you continue to delve into it, it will set others free if you teach them and spread the knowledge. So this is show 5. If you're missing show 4, it's because you're on YouTube, and they wouldn't let me put up show 4 because they just want to protect everyone, right? So if you want to see show 4, it's up on BitChute, it's on 3Speak, and it's also on, it's on Library. I'd suggest checking out Library. We're going to go ahead and get into the material. But also, if you're watching show 5 right now and you haven't watched the other previous shows, start with show 1, because this is it's a sequential show. What I'm talking about today in this show might not be in context for you if you haven't watched the preceding shows. So please start with show 1 and then to show 2, show 3. Find show 4. If you can't, show 4 is a little bit off topic if you're on YouTube, but that's okay. We're getting right back into occult information. And so in the show, we're going to be talking about polarity and the polarity of emotions and how they manifest inward and outward, internally, and how they manifest outwards. First, I'm going to define what polarity is through a little Hermeticism, but before that, I'm going to tell you what Hermeticism is. Well, I'm going to tell you what it is in a few words. Hermeticism is the ancient knowledge that is used to understand the universe a little better. The word Hermeticism comes from the name Hermes Trismegistus, which means Hermes 3 times his majesty. The Egyptians knew him as Thoth, depicted him as like a dude with a bird's head. Hermes was a person, or a people, or a space alien, or an interdimensional being. That's not really what's important. What's important is that he gave information to the Egyptians of the universe's workings and how to understand the universe's laws. This includes the 7 Hermetic principles. And I will describe those to you as follows. And they might not be in order, but, give me a break. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, rhythm, polarity, causality, and gender. And today we're going to be talking about polarity, but I'm going to go into the 7 Hermetic principles just real quick. So the universe is mental in nature because everything is experienced through the mind. The scientists who did the double slit experiment found that even just the observation of matter affected it. I would check out the double slit experiment. It's very interesting. The universe is mental in nature because everything is experienced through the mind. And like I said, the double slit experiment, you're looking at matter and it collapses its waveform out of probability distribution. But go look at the double slit experiment. Okay, so the universe is mental in nature, and the all of creation, that's everything, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, everything is corresponding with everything else in some way, shape, or form. Everything in creation is connected in some way. As above, so below. Everything in the universe is vibrating and moving. Nothing is at rest anywhere, ever. Even you're vibrating and moving through space at great speeds right now. A vibration is a rhythm of back and forth, like the sea's tides have the ebbs and flows, or like our breath in and out, or like the breath of life, breathing in and out of physical existence through the incarnation cycle. All of these things are set forth by a causality. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. All of these dual-natured things are a polarity of one thing. Two opposing things that are part of one. They are seemingly two things, but they are actually one. They're opposed to each other. Polarity has two sides, but belongs to one whole thing. Everything has polarity. Gender is a polarity that is universal. Everything has its necessary companion, like atoms and their particle charges of negative and positive. So in this episode, we are going to look at the aspects of polarity. What aspect of polarity? I'm going to explain the polarity of emotion and how it manifests internally and externally. There's really only two emotions within a polarity, seemingly two, but there's actually just one. So I'm going to describe polarity for you and then go into the polarity of emotions. When something is hot, it's because the atoms are in a more active vibratory state. When the vibratory state settles in the object, the heat is no more, and it's called cold. So cold and hot are seemingly two things, but are actually one dynamic with two vibratory states. So cold is just the absence of heat. Cold is the absence of vibration. All right. So light and dark are the same way. When light hits an object, it's because particle slash waves of energy carrying a certain vibratory state called photons are hitting and interacting with an object. So the particles carrying that certain vibratory state called photons reflects off or absorbs into an object, and that's what we see as visible light. Darkness is when an object cannot be seen or is occulted. And remember, occulted means that which is hidden from vision, and that's all it means, and that's all it ever has meant. Darkness is when an object cannot be seen because it is in the absence of the vibratory state from the particle slash wave called photons. The object still exists in the dark, but its properties are harder to observe. So dark is just the absence of light. Cold is the absence of heat. And by the way, there are many things in the dark that need to be understood, but not always acted upon. Just because something's dark doesn't mean you shouldn't look at it. You should observe it, even if it's a little disturbing, because that's information that you can take and use it to, keep yourself from harm later on. So, just because something is dark or negative doesn't mean you should ignore it, because useful information nonetheless. Information is not good or bad. It's what's done with the information that makes it good or bad. Information is neutral until it becomes action or / wisdom, or is known to be true or untrue. Love and fear are another polarity based on a vibratory state, which can be expressed internally and externally. That is, thought and emotion being internal and action being external. And there's really only two ways that love and fear can be expressed, and that's internally and externally. There are seemingly two emotional states that us humans have, which are love and fear. But really, fear is the absence of love. And I'm going to explain what that is, but first, I'm going to talk about what love actually is. There's a handful of different types of love, but only one encompasses what the true universal love is. The lesser types of love are eros, which is romantic love, philia, which is affectionate love, fluitia, which is self-love, storge, which is familiar love, pragma, which is enduring love, ludus, which is playful love, mania, which is obsessive love. But then you have a love that transcends all of what I mentioned and holds all of that and is even more. And that's agape. Agape means unconditional love for the truth and creation. Agape, or care, is the highest form of love because it is what propagates the universal creative forces within sentient beings. So for now, I will call agape love for now. So when I'm talking about love from here on out, I'm talking about agape. When I'm talking about love from here on out, I'm talking about unconditional love for the truth and creation, and unconditional love for the creator and for morality, objective morality, not what has been dictated to you by government, religion, and money. But I'm going to call it love. Love is the force that expands consciousness. It is the force that opens up and blooms consciousness. It dilates consciousness so the world can be seen and experienced without interference. Love is the most powerful creative force in the universe and is the emotional condition that humans thrive in the best. It is internal freedom that has the ability to become externalized in varying degrees. So love is freedom. Love is internal freedom to think, to feel, and to act without harming. Love is the eternal feminine mother spirit of creation manifesting through us. Love is the part of the moral compass that naturally leads humans to objective morality. To be in the state of love, you know and understand truth, you accept truth better. So, true love can be thought of as the internal, nurturing, warm light of creation that has the potential to flow through everyone. So, the result of love expanding consciousness, everything working correctly, is that your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in alignment with each other. What you think is how you feel, and what you feel is how you act. There's no disharmony in the thought, emotion, and action trinity. Love brings forth morality, is what I'm trying to say. The inner manifestation of love is to understand self-ownership and adhere to its responsibilities that are inherent to nature. So, to know how your actions will affect the world around. The inner manifestation of love is to treat the body and mind with care and respect and seek knowledge and truth. When consciousness is dilated open, flowered open with love, we are not afraid to look. We are not afraid to see. And we are not afraid to face the truth. We are not afraid to go through experience. Love brings forth the condition in which we take in the world around us and engage in it and understand it. So love brings internal freedom that can be externalized. The ancient occult traditions call this state of mind inner dominion, which means to rule the self. It means rulership of the kingdom of self. It is true sovereignty. You at birth were endowed with freedom by creation itself. So when love is manifested internally through your thoughts and your emotions, action, to love yourself is the first component of loving others. If your inner will from creation is governed by love, then all your intentions for others will be governed by compassion. You will want for others what you want for you. The true state of love through truth brings a state of morality to the external world because of that. A truly moral world is a free world. When morality increases, freedom increases. The true state of love brings a moral world if it is engaged in by the collective. Love is thought, emotion, and action being in unison and harmony, and not having inner opposition with thought, emotion, and action. Dominion is sovereignty, self-ownership, self-responsibility, self-governance, true sovereignty. And if rulership is internal, then we don't need external rulership. We don't need government to enforce rules, edicts, policies through violence, duress, coercion at any degree, even if it's just a little bit. Even if somebody's just taking a penny from you a day, but you can't do anything about it, and if you try to do something about it, they would break your legs or kill you. That's still a state of slavery, even if it's a penny, even if it's anything close to that. And that's why to know yourself is to know the universe. Love is self-mastery, and that self-mastery externalizes and becomes real through your behavior. And the state of mind that creation intended us to be in is self-dominion, which preserves and provides and facilitates the greatest gift that creation has given us, which is our consciousness and free will. So you think, so you feel, and so you act. What you think is in harmony with what you feel. What you feel is in harmony with the way you act. And they are not in inner opposition or in contradiction with each other. The inner manifestation of love, of the love state of consciousness, is inner dominion, self-love, self-responsibility, self-care, and health. Okay, yeah, so the outer manifestation of love is creation, progress, evolution, the generative principle. It brings forth the generative principle. So now I'm going to talk about the other emotional polarity. Now, some call this hate or rage, anger, but it's just fear. Fear is the absence of love. That's why love and fear are a polarity and are seemingly two things, but it's really, fear is just the absence of love. So fear is the compressive, constricting force for consciousness. Fear has a reason, a biological reason. It's to help you escape from danger. You're really not supposed to be in that state all the time. We weren't designed to be in that state all the time. Fear is part of your emotional and moral compass that's telling you something is wrong and should be stopped or gotten away from. So, and what I'm talking about doesn't mean if you experience fear once, then your brain is completely damaged and your psyche's completely damaged and your thought, emotions, and actions aren't in unison. Fear is the state that, like, the same type of fear we have when we go to work and our boss yells at us is the same thing animals experience when they're on when they're being chased by something scary that wants to eat them. And so the objective is to get away from that fear and to go back into a state of love. So fear has two manifestations just like love, internal and external. So thought, emotion being internal, and then external would be action. When fear takes executive function in the mind, there are internal manifestations like disgust, hatred, rage, and then later on, that turns into self-hatred and self-loathing. That's if you're in the state of fear all the time and you choose not to do anything about it, or you can't do anything about it. The external manifestation of fear are controlling behaviors like theft or violence or deception, or a broken and active person that ends up thinking like a slave. Flight or fight, which is what keeps us out of danger, but is the state that we are mind controlled into being in all the time, is a response to harm or danger. And so what I described in the last in the brain video is that it's a destructive state for the mind and the body physically. It's the state that the ruling class tries to keep the aggregate population in order to control them, because when someone is in flight or flight, blood is pumped away from the head and torso and is redirected into the arms and legs. One will need extra energy in those parts in order to endure or escape danger. You won't be using much number crunching or anything like that, or like having a deep conversation when you're in danger or fear. So fear causes less blood flow to the brain, which is the constricting force for consciousness. Not only is it physically constrictive, it's mentally constrictive. So it causes brain trauma is what it does when you're in the state of fear all the time. Fear constricts consciousness. It makes one not want to look. It makes one not want to see. It makes one not want to seek or understand or care or engage in the truth, because it's just your body trying to get away from danger and discomfort the whole time. It wilts the bloom of consciousness and cuts people off from their higher functioning self. The point of fear is to recognize danger and correct it or get away from it if it cannot be corrected. And that's not to say that you should, be in a love state all the time, because fear is the part of your emotional compass that's telling you it's not good. Do something. Change that. I don't love that. I don't like that. Fear causes confusion, leading to internal opposition. So this internal opposition to thought, emotion, and action. Thought, emotion, and action are not acting as one. They're not acting in unison. We do things in opposition to what we think and feel. This is the ultimate betrayal of the spiritual, emotional, moral compass of the being itself. To go against what we know is right and what we feel to be right, and take an action or a justification that's not based in morality. That's the type of confusion that ends up happening. The state of fear results in the adversarial force to creation within a being, and also outside of a human being. This has a name that has been used since ancient times. That would be Satan, or Satan, the adversary, that which divides from within. Satan. So Satan has never been a bad guy making you do things. Satan is a force. It is an opposition. And also love is a force. These things are forces, and both to be reckoned with. So these states of mind are what create your worldview. So true love is love for truth, love for creation, love for law and morality, true morality. Love, true love, is the force that expands consciousness. It is the force that dilates consciousness open. The inner manifestations of love are inner dominion, rulership of the kingdom of self, self-responsibility, and the will to create and be free. It is inner freedom. And the outer manifestation of love is external freedom and external morality. Fear, which is the seeming opposite of love, is actually the absence of love. Fear is the state that constricts consciousness. Fear is the state that closes consciousness and shuts consciousness down. Fear is for our survival, to keep us out of danger. We, as a collective, have been tricked into being fearful all the time and not doing anything about it and living in a state of fear. Fear is a reactionary state only and is harmful to the body. The state of fear causes blood to be pumped away from your brain and your vital organs and into your arms and legs so you can endure fight or flight. Fear is not the natural state humans are supposed to be in. The ruling class of humanity knows this and psychologically tricks us into being in this state of fear all the time, even though we may or may not be in danger. Fear causes one not to look. Fear causes one not to see. The state of fear ruling the mind, living in the left brain, living in the reptile brain. This is called a schism of the mind. It is inner division. It is when thoughts and emotions and actions are not in alignment with each other. Taking justifications even though you know what you thought and felt was wrong. It is the one who divides from within, the great adversary, Satan. So thank you for tuning in, and have a good one full of puddin'.